welcome to Pops and Hisses, a music podcast where you hear from the artists you love. I'm your host, Kevin Coffey, and in this episode, we have singer-songwriter Matt Whipkey. I've known Matt for years, and his latest album, Hard, is out now on Unusual, a new indie record label from the Twin Cities. Matt's album comes on the heels of his divorce and the pandemic, and switching careers. There's a lot packed into this 10-song record, but when you see the album art, which depicts a bride and groom wedding cake topper, it's apparent what the record might be about. Whipkey's album just came out, and he's playing his first concerts promoting it. I visited Matt to talk about the genesis of the album, the killer music video for Overboard, how he put these emotional subjects into song, and his new record label, too. Real quick, I want to remind you can listen to the Pops and Hisses podcast and find music news, reviews, and interviews at popsandhisses.com. But right now, it's time for Matt Whipkey and his new album, Hard. Let's get into it. How'd this album come to be? What's the genesis? Because you worked on it for a while.
Yeah, I did. It like the technical end of it was that I wanted to work with this guy Ian Aiello, and I finished the song at the end of 2019 or something. He's like, next thing you do, let me know. I want to take a shot at mixing it. And so I wrote a song in March 2020, right after everything kind of shut down. And my punk band at the time was playing a lot, so this first song I wrote was real rocking. And I still did it quarantine style. I did all the tracks at home to a drum machine, and then I emailed it to my buddy Gata. It's a second song called Hello, Hello.
Okay.
And
that's what I was going to ask.
And he played drums on it, and it sounded good. So I sent Ian the tracks, and he gave me a mix in 3 or 4 days. Pretty quick turnaround. And it was perfect. It was so good. And I think that particular song had one revision, and that's what's on the album. This mix 2. Pretty phenomenal. None of those other songs have mix 2 making the cut. So, although there was an outtake that had a mix 2, and that was it. But it didn't make the record.
Oh, right.
But if it did, it would have been fun. But yeah, so he really knocked it out of the park, to say the least. And I was pretty blown away. And so, all right, so I did another one. And so it was just kind of exciting to have somebody on the other end that could take what I made and make it sound really good in kind of a fun way.
Did that excite you to keep going, keep making stuff?
Yeah. And the other thing that really just kind of opened the flood well of songs was I got divorced. So
yeah, if you haven't seen the record cover, for those listening at home, it's a wedding cake topper. And if you listen to the album, there's a lot of references and stuff.
Yeah.
The first line of the whole album is, "Was it also perfect?"
Right. And the irony of that I thought about that. The irony of that first line is that particular song, Hard, the title track of the record, it ended up it basically is older. It's from 2016.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know
and
that.
It didn't make. Well, we played it every show, and it just didn't make these records, and there's no good reason for it because it was a better song than was on any of those records, and it just didn't make it. And I think I don't know if this is superstition or not. Sometimes I get sort of hippy dippy when I think about music. It's the only thing in my life I get that way with. But I kind of get that way with music, and I think it's because it saw the future and didn't have it needed to be manifested some way to come out. So that's. I mean, I changed a few of the lyrics, but that first line, "Was it also perfect? You think you deserve it? It could be gone in an instant." Maybe it could be gone in an instant. Perhaps that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
It very much fits the theme. It could be a thesis statement. But yeah, the actual song was written years before the situation. And so I held off on it, but it found its place, and I think I didn't even decide that until it was done. I was hey, I think this song will work. And then that was the one song that we actually recorded with my band too, band.
It's funny too, because not knowing that, I might have known that. I think I've heard that song before, but in context of the album, it just sets off the tone of the record.
Yeah. It's just a great first song, and it wasn't gonna be the title track, but it worked out that way. I think the word so aptly described the subject matter, and at the time we made it. Just the circumstances of the world, I guess.
Right. Well, right. There's only the one song that references specifically COVID stuff, the Quarantine Age Dream.
Quarantine Age Dream? Yeah. I like that play on words.
It's good.
Quarantine Age Dream. And, well, there's actually a couple lines in Hard, too, about, like, wearing a mask and stuff that could have, wasn't necessarily COVID, but it worked out that way. Yeah. And I'm not going to ask a bunch of like personal questions about divorce, but like, I mean, you just mentioned like it opened the floodgates for songwriting. Was that? Oh yeah. It's like you have. I mean, never have like a lack of things to try to write about, but that was just so. Basically, it was all going down, and after the fact,
right?
After because you were given that all happened right before the pandemic started, and then you're given my 2020 started like that, and I mean, I guess it only kind of went downhill.
Not only is this really traumatic thing happening, also stay home, everyone's dying.
Yes, yeah.
That's a lot to go through all at once.
Yeah. I mean, but it was weird in a way that selfishly, I enjoyed just going in like a cocoon.
Right.
And without feeling like I was without the FOMO of it all,
Yeah, like the feeling of just being, it's like what we always want to do. Those nights when you don't want to go out or don't want to do anything. It's like, I'll just stay at home. But you actually were encouraged to stay home, and they were really nice things.
Yeah, right. I know. Now it's like, now that people are going out again, I got to get myself back in the framework. Right. I did a little bit back in June. It was like, this is the best. This is back forever and good. And it was like, a month later, it's like, well, you might not want to do that.
Yeah, right. I was like, concerts are coming back. We're ready to go. Everyone's vaccinated. No, not everybody.
I played one show. I played one concert. This is the best. And it was nice. I went to Omaha. It was great. It was fun.
Same.
But it was just kind of a bit of like, it's like, not so fast,
Yeah.
But
yeah, you had a lot of material to work with.
Yeah, no shortage of
There's only
to write about.
10 songs on the record.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Did you write a lot more than that? You mentioned some outtakes.
Yeah, I had.
You usually write a lot when you're writing.
Yeah, sometimes you have more. Yeah, there's probably like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. There's a lot, man. Actually, because I thought I finished the album like in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of the songs that made the final cut actually ended up coming on like last spring. So there was just a lot. There was a lot that didn't make it. Well, I didn't necessarily think I was writing for the record. But in a way, I think I still was.
Yeah.
They're all covered the same subjects. But yeah, back to that, so that stuff with the relationship and the divorce stuff happened, and then COVID happened, so I wrote one song. So it was the time.
Mm.
There was a lot of time. I was luckily, like, I was in a space, kind of that post, as a buddy really just kind of let me come for what was going to be just a few days, and being like over a year.
Yeah.
Real sweetheart. And he didn't seem to care. But it was funny too when the lockdown first happened. My friend, his name's Justin. He's a photographer and he's great. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of out of work too. Was So I was too, and so we know each other forever. We both just started like doing these like artistic projects. Like he had a photography thing he was doing, and I just jumped headfirst into like the music stuff. And I remember telling my therapist before COVID, we're talking about like what you can do to improve your like relationships, just in general. And I said, well, sir, I know what I'm not gonna do. Like the next place I wind up, I'm not gonna just, turn their basement into a recording studio. and then he said to me, I remember he said yet. And then just like not even 2 months later, my friend was very generous and let me turn his basement into a recording studio. Yeah. Like fairly elaborate. I mean, we got loud. It's great. Like I'm just like, oh my God, the neighbors are gonna hate you. Who's this person that showed up? Why the decibel? But it was funny because he had in the garage, he had a woodworking shop, like full on, like everything you need, like this great. It was a beautiful little shop, like took up the whole garage. And so it was funny on Saturdays, or just, it always seems like it was like Saturdays during the day, he'd work on his project. So dude got loud there. It was like those saws. And it's just I mean, it's just shaking that side of the house. And it's like,
little guitar is not going to hurt you.
I'm not going to catch up me reading in my room right now. I'm going to go run 2 amps together and just triple up these like fuzz tracks. And so
it worked out.
Yeah, the funny thing was like it sometimes even with the saws, like it had to be like the loudest, most rockin' track, because if I was doing like a clean track, like you could hear some of the saws come in, but not enough that it would like ruin the track. Was just kind of cracked me up because
so if you're listening to the record and you're like, that sounds like a band song.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some, but it was funny because it's like, but I mean the bottom line was like, I don't think he's going to bother if I just equal his decibel level.
Yeah. That seems like the perfect sort of... I'm sure there was a lot of loneliness and stuff on your part, but like that seems like the perfect sort of setup for what you needed to do at the time, maybe without even realizing what was
happening. No, I know. It was exactly what I needed to do at the time. It's like you couldn't... I started like I went and got like a real corporate job too, which probably should have put put like a damper on the free time music creation. But
sure,
if you have good self-time management skills and you can work from home, you can accomplish a lot of things.
I would agree with your assessment. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a lucky spot too. I honestly felt bad for a lot of people, probably you guys included. I mean, the kids and the house, just the full house. But like, if house was out doing his thing, it was just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so hey, lunch comes around. Well, I'll eat my sandwich and track some more guitars. Just buy. You can find that way to be productive, and then Ian was so encouraging too to kind of try different stuff. It was just real fun. It's there's some, I don't know if I don't want to say the songs were fun to write.
I'm sure not.
Yeah,
I'm sure also cathartic in a way.
Yeah, cathartic in a way. Not fun to write now that the band's rehearsing them for the first time ever.
They've been fun to play.
Yeah, they have, and the other people have enjoyed playing them. It's weird from like my artistic mindset of like, do I want to stay true to like the core of what they're about, rather than just really enjoy playing with my friends, which I do. I mean, that's inherent, but yeah, it's funny. Like if you're playing with the band a lot and, if you're playing with the band like all the time, you're probably going to like have some more songs about having a good time and stuff.
Yeah.
I was friends with these guys, the Chris Lager Band. They've been around forever, and they have a lot of songs about having a good time.
Yeah.
But, like, I've seen them play a lot, and they're always having a good time. So, I mean, they're really just being honest to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool. And I think it's like, because, like, the world, it's like the show, it's just so much, it's fun. I mean, I think it'd be tough to write a song about, being miserable, but maybe deep in my heart, like, I never have a good time. So, it's those, songs are true to my situation. Well, I mean, just the fact that, like, they weren't being played with friends,
Yeah, right,
it was like,
right.
I wrote them all and recorded them in a way that was really preserved the loneliness of it all, because it was just me.
If you look at the liner notes, with the exception of one song, it's you and one or maybe two other people playing every single instrument.
Yeah,
the whole record.
yeah,
mostly you.
Yeah, a couple songs. Are there songs? Nope, he gave me a drum. Yeah, one song. A lot of them I played like everything. Yeah, it's just myself and my friend Scott Gata would do drums on something, or a lot of keys. And he was busy too. He has a studio at home, so I think between Ian, Scott, and I were all set up to make this happen.
Well, a lot of people I've talked to have talked about how this pandemic couldn't have come at a better time, at least technologically speaking, for making music. Because in the past, you would have had I guess we've had digital recording technology for a while, but like, if this was 20 years ago or more.
Yeah, it would have been tough 20 years ago.
Yeah, like, and some bands did do this. Like, some big bands that probably had the money, they all quarantined strictly for 2 weeks, tested themselves
right,
the nose, and then, flew to LA and made a record, which is not reality for anybody but the most. Like, let's spend some bullshit money on recording.
Like, I really liked.
But it's awesome that you could do it, like, I have a mixing room, and you have a studio, and you have a studio. We can just do this all together.
I know, right? And so it's like, when I really liked Taylor Swift's Folklore album a lot. And it was funny because the initial rounds of press was like, and she like made a record at home. It's like, let's stop. Hard stop. Connor almost made a record at home too. And his home's a studio.
His home was a record studio. Yeah.
So
if I made a record at home, it's a closet.
Take the most popular superstar in the world. It's probably not like a Korg like 8-track flash card, like digital 8-track with totally. Like SM57. It'd be cool if it was, but yeah. So it's funny. I was reading those articles. I'm like, yeah. In what with like Jack Antonoff, the guy from the National, the guy from the National's home's a studio.
Yeah, right.
So not really rough go for these folks. It's like, in fact, there should have been like more stuff. Really,
sure, yeah.
I thought, like, I remember talking with Ian, or the cinema article or something. This is like in May, or like, Billie Eilish records new song and like quarantine, and it's like, oh, we finally finished our first quarantine. I'm like, just one?
Yeah.
And we were like 5. I was pretty proud of ourselves. And then honestly, when that like Taylor Swift record came out, I'm like, damn it. Not that that's the competition, you know?
Sure.
It's not like the Beach Boys Beatles here, but still, It was like, it's just somebody being like, and it was really realized too. Coming out in July, that's crazy. It was like,
it felt very like midst of pandemic when it came out because it hadn't even been that long. But shit, man, that was a long time ago that record came out. Now,
yeah, like, that was in July. I mean, that was like late July. That was late July. So I was like, it's like, wow, man, you guys didn't mess around. You got to like work because even if you got the best. Access to the best of everything.
It takes a while, right?
You still have to like,
mix and
even those guys that are really good at it, that doesn't mean they're not going to spend like all day working on it.
Yeah.
Totally. It's not like, I was just like, hey, okay, good for you guys. But I mean, and we were, but that's what kind of, I don't even have any business put myself in the same category, but other than just artistic people like making things,
Well, yeah, but
like she didn't have to get a Series 7 and that,
she did, yeah.
In that 5 months, I did. So that's at least worth like a dozen songs I didn't write.
I'd like to say that
Series 7.
Series 7 and the record together are maybe more impressive than Taylor Swift doing it. Because for her, it's not probably that much more.
Yeah, and it wasn't just 7. There was like 2 other ones too. It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. And I'm an like an investment consultant, basically.
Right.
So and that's a career I didn't get into until I needed to, music teaching and performing kind of went by the wayside. So that was what I found. I was looking for other jobs anyway, but yeah. So it was funny. Like that took a lot of time to like get those licenses and such.
While making
while doing the record, yeah, yeah.
Making, recording, mixing, label stuff.
Dude,
it's a lot. It's a lot to do.
I think it was just fun because, like I said, the material. It was an instance of many of the songs writing themselves, which is a very interesting and powerful thing to be a conduit for. To be, again, the hippy dippy thing with music, like it's weird. I mean, like there's a song on it called Mayday. I sat down, I picked it up, I played a chord and started singing, and within 20 minutes, like the song was kind of done. And I love, again, painful like subject, but like it's actually has some joy. It's in a major key, so it's fun to play with the band. But like it wouldn't. I'm thinking how I felt when I wrote it. Like it was just fucking painful. But now I play it with the guys. I'm like, it actually, if people wanted to sing along with it, they could.
Totally. Well, there's other people I've interviewed over the years that have written the saddest songs, and I've asked them before, like, man, it's a fucking rough song. Like, how do you play that every night? And they're like, by the time you've played it that many times, you don't think about it that much. And actually, for a lot of people anyway, they say it helps, like, kind of organize, if it's a really sad thing, those feelings and emotions, and like, okay, I've somehow dealt with this by writing this, recording it, probably playing it 8,000 times to record it and rehearse it and do all that other stuff.
Right.
I heard the song more times than you can count.
Yeah, and that particular song, that Mayday, I wrote it on a Sunday, and quick, like 20 minutes, and I set up one microphone on a Monday and recorded it in 2 takes, like live. And all the overdubs were put on that. So that's about the fastest. I think that's the fastest turnaround I ever had on a song that's as good as that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that song being in a major key and it being not an easy song, but like, yeah, it has that brighter feel. And there's a few songs like that on the record.
Yeah, and it's very much
really bright kind of songs.
It's unapologetically like 145 on the chorus. Typically when you write something sort of in an automatic sense, it's going to gravitate towards those major intervals. That's just how the Western mind is programmed to think of melody. But it's dorky stuff. But it starts. The verse goes to like 5/4, and I've just never done that before on a verse. So like even it's just not like a conscious. So it was I described it to somebody as like it was kind of like a Ouija board. The hand is kind of, it just went. It just went, awesome. and that's.
Like you said, it's like being a conduit for something, almost like you weren't even doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about going up to Minneapolis to do radio interviews and the labels up there. But tell me about Unusual and how you got.
Yeah, they this new kind of label. I mean, I don't think they're just limited just to music. They'll maybe putting out other things, other mediums as well. But it's their first musical release, and I met him years ago. I was playing an odd gig. I was playing at a castle. Like it's a true story. I was playing at a castle, but it not real castle. It was medieval times.
Right.
Right. What wasn't a medieval times? Somebody bought it.
Yeah.
And it used to
but
be.
That qualifies as a castle.
It was a castle. They preserved the castle qualities of it, and I'm playing on I'm playing on a boulder. I'm playing on a rock, and there's a sword. The place was called Camp. The place had an Arthurian name, and there was a sword stuck in this stone I was playing behind, and people had to come and try to pull the sword out. I was just kind of background music. So the audience were all these like arts individuals, patrons,
right,
international patrons. Even it was a pretty high class event, and I was just the entertainment, and but. so the audience was far away. I'm on this rock. There's this sword. But they had peacocks and horses.
Yeah.
There's horses galloping around me while I was playing this show. Yeah, I was worried they were going to step on my shit. Like this one horse got dangerously close, putting a hoof right through a guitar. I was like... So after someone grabbed it and moved it, like... But again, the horses got... Anyway, within this audience of people were some of the individuals at Unusual. And we met that night. Odd place to meet. You never know who's going to see you play. You
right.
know what I mean? You never know. The strangest situations years down the road have happened many times, man. Many times. So every gig you play that you think is just the strangest thing, like that was like...
Right, there's somebody there wrong.
Put your best foot forward or something. You know, they were impressed enough, and they put together this project. And when this during COVID, I stayed in touch. Some of the stuff we were working on, they were real intrigued by it. And decided to kind of roll with it, and
that's awesome.
Put out the record, and we're going up there. Been up there a few times to like work on some stuff. I like the fact that their foremost concern isn't their foremost concern isn't like the bottom line, the profits, because can't really offer like financial like opinions, but I have licenses too, and I guess I'd tell most people if they were concerned of how to make it, how to have a steady, growth, is you don't invest in music.
Don't open a record label.
So now, if we're talking about, you need to take some losses.
Yeah,
it's like, well, maybe we could look into some partnerships that put out music. You get a lot of write-offs.
Yeah,
you'll incur many losses. So, and honestly, maybe that's what they're doing. Can't say it isn't.
Who knows?
But the beauty of not being like overly on that, it was the overall feel. I think they were attracted to this, the art of it all.
Yeah. In
this particular record and whatever it represents and how it works as a whole. I think they like that, how it works as a whole as a piece of art.
Right. Well, and I don't know how much you were doing the art direction and stuff or what they were involved with, but like just the album art itself and then like the video for Overboard is freaking great.
Yeah.
You said they helped you with that. So
yeah, I was hands off with that.
Go watch the video for Overboard by our wonderful guest Matt Whipkey. But if you watch it, it's like footage from an old wedding. It's even shot like it looks like VCR quality.
It's Super 8.
Is it Super 8?
It's actual Super 8 film.
It's in the 3:4 ratio,
yep.
So like it won't play widescreen on your phone. I was watching and just like this, every part of this is awesome.
Yeah,
Matt's only in it for about 2 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so what's funny about that video, and again, I didn't see it until it was done. They had access to some stuff, and they had access. It was funny that they had access to a film of us opening for Huey Lewis. That was that show.
That's the show?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, 2010, and because it was shot on Super 8 too.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I just figured they shot some video of you, or you got some video and they put a filter on it or something. But
yeah, it was. That's from us. Yeah, that's so it's old. And when it popped up, I was pleasantly surprised. And the inclusion of 2010 footage of me in a 2021 music video
is awesome.
Just made me rethink my life. And I have access to part of my artistic career. I might summon archival me.
There you go.
To represent me. And I don't have I'm only 40. Like, I got a lot of good years left. But if I start summoning archival me now, and just make it part of the arsenal, it'll stay with me for the rest of my
30 forever.
So I'm watching some old videos from 2006 and seeing them with a different eye. It's like,
oh sure,
it's like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Ask away.
Not necessarily the last question, but one of the questions I want to ask was about Lazarus, which is one of my favorite songs.
Cool.
On the record.
Shoot.
But reminds me of it's a character song, which reminds me of like Springsteen or The Hold Steady or other stuff that you've written that's just like it just goes through these characters as they appear and stuff about them. Like I love that.
Yeah, and
it's like Tim the boyfriend, and
they don't
the bartender.
Maybe you just kind of light bulb. Maybe if I need to if I'm searching for inspiration, I'll use that song just to write a bunch of other. Because they don't reappear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're all real people.
So it might be you.
That's not their names, I'm not that. I'm not
names
that
have been
dumb.
changed to protect the innocent.
I'm not that dumb. Some I know well, some I don't know at all. I try to make that song so with each one's little verse, like to present them in a way.
Right.
I think the more like that story was men feel competitive with each other when it comes to not necessarily women, but just kind of relationships,
right?
Or conflicts of interest or whatever. Like dudes get funny about that stuff, They just do. But like, I was trying to say like it's like that, but we're all in like the same boat of the pain that the other person in the relationship can put on them. And like, if you eliminate everything else and just focus on that kind of pain that comes from like lost love and shit, like it's you have like a bond there.
Yeah. There's a sense in that song to me.
But it's not me saying I want to be friends with all those people.
No.
It's like, don't.
Right. There's a sense to me in that song of like, you mentioned like competitiveness of looking at somebody else and being like, man, they're better than me, or like you're competing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of times when you look at somebody, like everybody else has their shit, and whatever you feel they might be more attractive to you, they're better than you, or all those other things. Yeah, like you start stripping things away, and you're like, no, they've got their own bullshit, and they're probably just as fucking weird as I feel.
Yeah, there's a saying. I wish Zip was here because he says this all the time, and he knows it verbatim. But it's a great thing. Is that at one point in time in the Zoo Bar bathroom in Lincoln, there was some wisdom inscribed on the wall, and it says. It's like, no matter how attractive you think she is, no matter how hot you think she is, no matter like how great looking or how much you like desire her, you just know how much you want this. Someone else is sick of her shit.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. You can plug any pronoun you want into. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Someone else is sick of his shit, and someone else is sick of their shit.
It's like, run away with me. It's like, this is new and exciting until it's not. And it's just
new and exciting for you.
Yeah. That's just life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I'm glad you like that song because it's fun.
I like that song.
Those people are all. Yeah, that came quick. That's one of those songs that wrote themselves,
Well, it's just that strum that just comes in each verse with the new person. Now I'm gonna listen.
I'll tell you exactly what it's about. You can't put it in the podcast.
Do that after I turn.
Okay. I've never written a song where it's like I can tell you exactly what it's about.
Yeah. A lot of times it's.
I don't do that too often. To tell you the truth.
Well, like a lot of times it's. Whatever it is, you might write about a very real situation, but things change. You change it for dramatic purposes. You make up parts of it, like whatever. But so, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, like that was and like I said, with subjects on this record dealing with the feelings, just love and failure, with the divorce too,
right? Court
order failure, it's just that extra level of like finality. But I tried really hard not be to come off like finger pointing or petty.
I don't think well, I think he did well because I don't think it ever comes off.
And that's, really by design. I would write those songs. Everybody has those like knee-jerk reactions. That's human nature. Wrote several of them, and maybe in 10 years look back because it's like I asked some people, I'm like, hey, is this good? Is this just to not make the mistake of putting something out that you wouldn't ever really stand behind, or
could possibly you can't take it back. You
can't take it back, right? I remember playing for some person go get him. Like, no, this isn't how it works.
Yeah. Well, the publishing the "fuck you" song might feel good for a second, but it might not be a very good idea. Well, there's it reminds me, and this is a completely ridiculous example, but you've seen The Wedding Singer in the middle of the movie. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
With Adam Sandler. In the middle of the movie, he has a complete mental breakdown when he's playing the biggest go fuck yourself song. Yeah. And it's it's really funny in a movie and might be really pointed, but also might be a really bad idea to actually do that.
On Bob Dylan has a song. I remember reading in many interviews. They asked him is there any song you regret putting out? And on numerous occasions, he said this song called Ballad in Plain D on another side of Bob Dylan. And it's this story, pretty much true life story, about his girlfriend and her sister and their family. It's real. It's for Dylan. It's about as personal as it's ever been. And he always said that he regretted putting that out, and he wouldn't do it if he could do it again. It wouldn't be, but I think it's well, I guess it's not a hit by any means, but it's a song on one of his early records, and everybody, if you're a fan, you know it.
But if you're a fan, you know it, and it's probably been listened to millions of times.
Yeah, and then you hear him, it's so you just wanted to be. I didn't want to say anything that I wouldn't, feel like I could stand behind down the road, and I'm proud of that. I think I got there.
Yeah, I think so.
Overboard was the last song written for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually the cover was shot, the track list was done, and Overboard wasn't even written yet. So I wrote it and ultimately went on the record. And it's probably it's one of the best songs on it. So it kind of ties it together in a way.
Right. Well, that's another. I feel the Hard and Overboard, which again, if you've got the vinyl in your hands, like I do right now while I'm talking, they're the first tracks off of each side.
Yep.
And they both set the tone for that side of the record in a really cool way. And it's really interesting that Hard you wrote forever ago and Overboard you wrote last.
Good dude, yeah.
Very
good
thematic, perfect shots. Yeah. And I don't know if that's intentional or not.
No.
But damn good job.
Overboard was last, and it just kind of came out. And I remember we were putting the artwork together, and I sent to my buddy, and I'm like, hey. And he's like, well, I wrote it and played it acoustic to a few people that certainly close to me, but not they weren't immersed in this project.
Right.
I didn't play it to Ian or Gata or anybody else, just some other people. And they're both they both have heard me play countless things.
Yeah.
And so when you play Rounds and Bay all the time, you play them stuff, they may not have any reaction at all, but that's totally fine because they're always around it.
Sure.
But then if they're that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody I would be around all the time, hearing something, just be that's pretty good. So that happened with two people with Overboard. I'm
might have something there.
And so I finished it and I sent it to my buddy. I'm I think I know we thought we were done. I know we labored over this. Order of songs, wrote another one, and then I just made an acoustic demo, sent it, and they were we just went. He's yeah, that's good. You gotta record that, and then so I called him, and this Ian, he was immersed in doing all these other stuff. I'm hey, guess what?
Got another one.
One more. But he'll say it's his favorite. So
Yeah.
like mix. So it's kind of it was a nice blessing to have it. And then once we had it, once it was done, and the very last song on the record too, called Big Noise, that was never kind of supposed to be on it.
Yeah.
It wound up on it, and it closes it real well, I think.
Yeah. I really dig the record.
Yeah, I think it's great. It sounds good too, right?
Thanks for listening to my talk with Matt Whipkey. Head to his website, mattwhipkey.com, to get the album on vinyl or digitally, or for tickets to his upcoming shows. Matt and his band are playing a pair of album release shows here in Omaha on November 12th at The Jewel. Get tickets at jewelomaha.com. Jewel is spelled with 2 L's. Subscribe to the Pops and Hisses podcast on your favorite podcast app, or head to popsandhisses.com, where you can listen to the podcast and find more music news, reviews, interviews, and podcast episodes. I'm your host, Kevin Coffey, and you can follow me on Twitter as @OmahaMusicGuy, or find my page on Facebook by searching for my name, Kevin Coffey. Thank you to Hurrdat Media, as always, for producing the show, and find lots more of our podcasts at hurrdatmedia.com/network. That's HURRDAT media.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
A Hurrdat Media Production.